chemists. This is a quick overview video to walk through how to use the gas properties simulator at the PhET a website. So you have the link to get there, and once you open that link, you'll get to this gas properties tool. And in this simulation, you can see that on the bottom there's a home tab, which is where you'll start out. And there are a few different places that you can go. You could, I recommend that you work with either the Ideal or the Explore for most of the simulations. You can also use the diffusion simulation for the last question in the exercise. But I'll go ahead and walk through what the tools are here. So in a gas law, we have 4 different variables: amount, which is N, number of moles. We have volume, which is the volume of the container. We have temperature, which is usually given in Kelvin, and then we have pressure. So all of those variables work together, and in this simulation you can manipulate the amount N, the volume V, or the temperature T, and then you'll see how the pressure responds to each of those manipulations. So right now I'm just going to walk through the tools so that you can see how they work. So to add gas to a container, you're going to take the little air tire pump graphic here, drag the handle up with your mouse, and then push it down with your mouse. So you can just add a bunch of gas particles here. You can also change the kinds of gas particles, and you can have 2 different kinds of gas particles if you like. You don't need to though. So to change the volume of the container, you're going to come over here to the left. There's this little handlebar. To make the volume smaller, you're going to drag that in, and to make the volume larger, you can pull that handle out. To affect the temperature, there's this little bucket underneath the container, and you can drag the slider up to heat. And you can see the thermometer up at the top is rising as we heat this sample. So heat, temperature rises. Or I can cool it down, and the image here is ice. So you can see that the thermometer is falling. So I can affect the amount of gas by adding more particles. I can affect the volume of the container by moving that slider, and I can affect the temperature by changing from hot to cold. The other thing that I'm doing while I'm making those changes is observe what happens to the pressure. So there's a pressure gauge up here in the top right that shows what that pressure is, how the pressure is responding to each of the changes that you're making. So for instance, if I keep adding more gas particles, I can observe what happens to the pressure. So don't worry about the simulation. You can't break it, so go ahead and play with it as much as you like. For instance, I'm just going to heat the dickens out of this by adding some flames. You see the temperature rise, and it actually eventually blows the top off the container. I can return the container lid by clicking on Return Lid. Also, if you don't like what you've got on the screen and you wanted to start over, there's a reset button down here in the bottom right with an orange circle and an arrow on it. So just click that and you'll start from the very beginning again. So that's how to use this tool. And if you have any questions about it, please let us know.